Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classics that's known classics. This is episode number 2600 and Doubleshot number 2494. Yep, 2600 episodes. Wow. Yeah, first really big number this year. Now, do I think basically that, I might get to 3,000 this year? It's a maybe. Yes, still to this day, this is my longest running video review series. And just a couple months ago was the 10th anniversary of the first episode of the series. Yep, just back in November. I didn't do anything to celebrate it, but yeah, I'm acknowledging the fact that November was basically when the first episode was released. And back then, basically, I was also doing some individual comic books per se. I kind of veered away from that for quite a while, and I brought it back. Now, some of you may have noticed, basically, I'm doing a lot of stuff digitally. Well, there's a good reason why. One, is a money saver, and two, I like reading this stuff. So, because doing this, I have basically finished a lot of series recently. Like, doing the digital books. Books like, book I'm talking right here, soon, just a minute. But basically finished a lot of Marvel series, and I do mean a lot. Books like Avengers West Coast, Amazing Spider-Man. Basically all the Spider-Man books, except for half of 2 or 3 left. The X books, basically, I still got a few more left to go. There's one, kind of getting close to finish up. One series I just finished up recently was Deadpool. So a lot of series are being finished up or basically being caught up to date. One basically is something that I kind of wish DC would do more of with this character, Black Lightning. I can't wish, but I'll look at Black Lightning soon, but in this video. So, I have discussed trades for this series before, mostly put trades to collect issues from Volume 3 and Volume 5, and one trade from Volume 4. And that's it. What trade is this one? What series is this? The New Warriors. This is the New Warriors Classic Omnibus. Yeah, this is basically stuff from the 1990s. This book collects the first 26 issues of the series, along with the first 2 annuals. Number 411, 412. This book also collects X-Men, Uncanny X-Men number 15, X-Factor A number 6, Amazing Spider-Man A number 26, Spectacular Spider-Man A number 12, and Web of Spider-Man number 8. And of course also contains Avengers 341 and 342. Well, basically the annuals I'm not discussing any of the annuals because I've discussed this previously already. So, in the case of the first issue was released in July of 1990. That's the cover date for that one. Now, the last issue, 26, was released in August of 1992. Now, I have also read a little bit of this volume prior to this, basically I think it was the Ben Reilly Complete Collection trades. There was actually about half of issues I have reviewed this movie forward. These opening issues, I read these. New Warriors is simply put, like I mentioned before, they are Marvel's version of another group, which I'll talk about just called this title next. But New Warriors number 1 is basically the chronological first appearance of New Warriors, basically how the team came together. We have Ninth Rider taking Richard Rider, who was working at a fast food joint because he didn't graduate from high school. He actually was a high school dropout. So he dropped him out of a building and reactivated his powers. Yeah, this is revealed in Fantastic Four where, after the events of the Nova series, and also thanks to his time in ROM, and because he wanted to return to Earth when he disbanded the champion Xandar, he returned to Earth and basically a powerless human. Then discovered, he actually has power left. And then when he got his suit back, he decided to go to a red suit for some reason. Yeah, no longer the blue and gold suit he's wore in the original volume. Nope. Now basically it's red. Yep, it's red. And the 90s later on, he basically has a mullet. Yep. And of course, we see the other members of the team, basically not only Night Thrasher, but also Nemertita. Excuse me. There's also Firestar, Justice. Well, at this point, I think he's called Marboy. Vance Astric. Yes, a character. Now, here's the thing. Of all the characters that appear in this very book, somebody might be asking the question: who debuted first out of all these characters? Well, Nova and Vance Astric debuted in the 1970s. So did Nemertita. Nemertita made her debut, like I mentioned before, in Summer 50. Nova, the first issue of his book, Vance Astric made his debut in the pages of Defenders, and there's also more members. Yes, so we have Night Thrasher, Nova, who's called Kid Nova here, Marboy, Nemertita, and two members, Speedball and Firestar. Speedball and Firestar made her debut in the early 80s. Firestar made her debut in the pages of McKinney X-Men, who later got her own miniseries, and I at least got handed to Fabian Nicieza, though he didn't write the opening story. That was Tom DeFalco. And it's kind of weird the fact the first issue is released for this book basically 7 months after their debut, though this issue is basically the first chronological appearance of New Warriors, because set before the Thor 411. Yep, so the first appearance are Terex and Gentek. Yep, so new team from the 1990s. Yep. Now, in my honest opinion, New Warriors is one of the greatest creations of the 1980s for Marvel that still on this very day, along with X-Force. I consider it high as that, because this book also was drawn, all of the 26 issues here are drawn by one artist, Mark Bagley, an excellent artist. Yep. So, throughout these issues, some of the early issues mostly put basically New Warriors, just a lot of standalone stuff, but there's some really cool story arcs here. Like, there's also a storyline here with one of the members, Saluth Cord, who debuts in issue 2. There's one issue where, see, this woman is a disabled woman who basically walks on her crutches, but she's very good with her agility. There's one issue where she just jumped out of her own clothes to show off to Dwayne Toyer, aka Night Thrasher, and apparently is not blushing the fact that he's a beautiful woman butt naked right in front of him, and then he puts a coat around her. Yeah, hey, she does that one of the issues for just to show off. Yeah, jumps out of her clothes for no reason. Yeah. Basically, Andrew Cord is, well, he's basically Night Thrasher's godfather. He's not his father per se, but he is basically his godfather. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in the case of issue number 2, they fight two villains. They basically mostly fight Midnight Fire, who actually is the son of Andrew Cord, and he is also the twin brother of Sleuth. He also has a daughter named Julia Cord, who appears in an infant comic. Yeah, and the thing with Aaron Cord is, he actually has made appearances not just New Warriors, he also appeared in Ironheart. Yes, basically he appeared mostly in these early issues for New Warriors, and after issue 24 in the annual, he after like 25, he stopped appearing in this book, became a recurring character in Night Thrasher, appeared sometime in New Warriors, and basically his last appearance, it was actually in the pages of Ironheart. Yeah, so It's like he's an early villain early on, and then like in issue number 3, he fights the Mad Thinker and Primus. Yep, Mad Thinker stuff lasts for like one issue. Then they fight the first villains, the Bisonics, who basically in a way their members are, well, at one point Night Thrasher was part of them. The members are Connery, Pretty Persuasions, Mathematic, Impulse, and Asylum. There's like 3 different asylums. Yeah. But that's pretty much your members, and they are here. They're kind of in a way the first bad guy group. The first group of villains that the New Warriors fight. And they're only here very, very early on. Yeah. They appear in issue 4. They appear again in issue 15, 16. They appear in annuals 2 and 4. And they appear a little bit after that. But they're not that big a villain group. Not really. It's like Famous Caesar created them just to have a group fight them. Also a woman named Ty, who's from the pages of the Mighty Thor. Yeah, and she's from the Well of all things. She is also a recurring character in this book, but after like the first couple years, she gets dropped from the book. Yep, for some reason she is, which basically we'll get to that. Excuse me, issue 5, they deal with the time shot. Basically, we deal with the Star Thief. Yep, the Star Thief, who only appears just a handful of times. Yeah, he appears in issues 5 and 6. And then he pops up in a couple issues of No Volume 2, which is discussed, and basically also appears in the second annual for New Warriors. His last appearance actually was in No Volume 5. Yeah, seriously. And apparently they're fighting people from the Stay International. You know, Obadiah Stane's company. And then in issue 6, he fights, well, they basically meet the Inhumans. Well, most of it, they're all family. The Inhumans was something be part of the book with the last volume release, volume 5, not the canceled volume. So then we begin the Hard Choices story arc. Hard Choices is a 3-parter which basically has the debut of a group of people known as the Forces of Nature, which they're basically comprised of Aqueduct, Skybreaker, Terraformer, and Sunstreak. The members are Firewall, Firebrand, and Omar Baroness. Forces of Nature are here for these 3 issues here. Pop up again in the annual, a few more issues of the New Warriors, and then they appear a few times in Avengers Initiative and Siege, and that's it. You're thinking, Nick, what the heck is up with all these particular groups who just pop up sporadically? My guess is because Fabian and Caesar chopped during the book, and then, well, we'll get to basically this one particular group soon. So they also take on a character named the Bengal, yes, who is not from their book. Nope, he is from the pages of Daredevil. Yep, he first appeared in Daredevil 258, and then he pops up for these 3 issues. Pops up basically before and after Spears Markov Presents. Then he appears in the opening issue, Night Thrasher for Control, a couple issues of Marvel Knights, and he became a recurring character, basically a regular character in the pages of Avengers Initiative, and that's pretty much it for him. No, seriously, that's pretty much it. Yeah. It's like, okay, let's have the New Warriors fight this group for a few issues. And also Project Earth. Another group of people who have to fight. Yep. And you guessed it, they're around very, very briefly here. They're here for just the issues published as Epic. It's Omnibus, and that is it for them. No, seriously, it's like, okay, let's... Oh, yeah. We also have a guest appearance in these 2 issues 8 and 9 by the Punisher. Because, of course, Punisher will always appear in every book. And then we return Emma Frost for a couple of these issues. Now, the way Mark Beckley draws her for some reason, it's like one of her boots at one point is covering her... Sometimes you look at her, like her boot is covering her completely her thigh. The other one is barely covering. It's like, what in the... Did Mark Beckley forget to draw the boots properly, Emma Frost? And also, her outfit has some slight minor tweaks to the books. Like, at one point it seems like, oh, she's wearing, like, basically a full outfit. Like, first time you see her, she has, like, short boots, a thong, and basically her corset top. And her cape, basically her normal outfit from the pages of X-Men. Yes, on the cover looks perfectly fine. Yeah, and pretty much in the way they fight the Hellions. Now, that is a group people have heard of. The original Hellions. Ones that were dead. At one point. Yes, they pop up here mainly because basically Firestar's here. And here's a shocker for you. They only appear for 2 issues, this book. Yeah, it's a quick 2-parter. They appear for issues 9 and 10, and that is it for them. And then we lead into a storyline that's really good. The Good Warriors saga, most saga of all time. The Forever Yesterday. A 3-part story that involves like alterations to the timeline for 3 issues. And it only affects this one book. And the main villain of the story is the Sphinx, which for some reason is chained to a woman. Also, the Avengers are bad guys. The members are Nova, Storm, Sculptor, Horus, Captain Astra, and Iron Man. Captain Ashura is basically a black Captain America. It's like, what if the Sphinx took over the world for a few issues? That is mostly put exactly what these issues are. Yeah, and the Sphinx being an old Nova villain, it's like, okay, and then we have in issue 14 where you have Darkhawk appear and just take on some smugglers. Like, okay. And of course, Tay with frickin' Namor. And of course, we mix with the Psionics, basically in issue 15. And then 16, they take on Tarak the Tamer. Yes, one of the heroes of Galactus. Yep. And they take him on here. They're only here for a couple issues, plus Fantastic Four here as well. Yep. And then, of course, basically, where Andrew Cork was led by Night Thrasher in issue 18. 19, of course, basically, we basically have New War take on Gideon. You know, the Rob Liefeld character. Yep. And then, well, then comes something interesting. Night Thrasher quits Steam in issue 20 and joins up a group. But in the case of Vance Astric, basically 20 begins a story arc that continues for a little while. That starts basically something where it's like not long after he leaves the team, Night Thrasher leaves the team, the very next issue, he joins Full Circle, a brand new group. And in issue 21, Vance Astric accidentally murders his own father. It's revealed in the B plot, one of the plots of these issues, also Rage joins the team this period of time too. So basically, the thing is, the reason why this happened, you see, Vance has trouble controlling his powers. He's a telekinetic. And it's revealed in these issues that Vance's father, when he was a child, beat him. He's a victim of child abuse. And whenever his mother tried to get that to stop, she got beaten too. Now, the obvious question is the reason why for the beatings? It's revealed in this book the reason why that Vance's father beat him, because he was a mutant. That's the reason why. So, he's put on trial, and I love the fact Fame of the Seas that has it where his lawyer is Foggy Nelson, a competent attorney. Was paired that piece of crap attorney from Amazing Spider-Man in the Clone Saga, which this guy apparently can raise an objection. At least Foggy is a competent lawyer. Which begs the question, why couldn't Peter get Daredevil? Well, at least Matt Murdock. There's no reason why he couldn't. Or how. And here's the thing. In this book, not the DA. You see. So, apparently, Vance is charged with 2 crimes. First-degree murder and negligent homicide. We'll get to that. So, now, basically, the first witness, well, because he was an expert on, he asks basically about his character. And either Fame of the Seas have probably watched Law & Order, because this is how you do basically a law case. Heck, even Bendis did this in the pages of Daredevil. This is basically a textbook example how to do a courtroom drama in a superhero book. This book and what Bendis did for Daredevil in Daredevil were basically in that book where White Tiger was basically put on trial for killing a police officer. It turns out he actually was not the real victim. And here's the strange thing though. Each of these cases, basically, like, in the case of the prosecutor for Peter's trial, it was Blake Tower, who is a white guy. In Vance's trial, it's a white woman. And in the case of White Tiger's trial, it's a black guy. And in the case of that book, the whole thing, basically, the thing is, White Tiger is nothing for race. I appreciate Bendis basically for doing that. The race card is never played here, that card at all. In this book, I appreciate, though, the fact that he actually asked about his character, the fact that he could do this. Even his mother's called in. Now, here's the thing. Vance himself does not object to the fact his mother's called in because she's a victim too. And they even managed to call in Ben Grimm. Yes, Ben Grimm. I'm like, good job, Fabian. That was actually a really good move. Calling him Ben Grimm, who actually has known him. Heck, they even suggested, like, why not get Captain America? And, of course, Fogg gives a reason why they can't get Captain America. Because his team stole a Quinjet. Yes. Seriously. And it's also filling these issues that Firestar is in love with Vance. So, then they get the verdict. First charge, first-degree murder, not guilty. Good. Second charge, negligent homicide. Guilty. Yeah. They couldn't get the self-defense plea, and of course, Foggy just appealing. He's like, nah, don't worry about it. So basically, he's hauled off to the vault, presumably for a few years, but he gets out. Don't worry, he gets out. He's not in there very long. Yeah. So, he's there. He's there for a good period of time, at least about a couple years. And of course, before he goes off to the vault, Firestar admits her feelings for him, and he accepts it. Now, I get the reason why the Thing is brought in because he was a supporting character in the Thing's book. Now, if you're curious, how long does he stay in the prison for? Well, he pops up sporadically, but after like 29, he doesn't get out until issue 43 of the book. Yep. So he's there in basically publication time for a little over a year. Despite the fact the reason why that is because his sentence was only 14 months. Yep. So he also practices with some of the guardsmen there. They also, New Warriors try to break him out, but he says, no, I'll go. And he accepts his feelings from Firestar. And they go off, and that's the book. Yep. And that was the opening 26 issues of the series. Really, really good. Yeah. And I'm definitely looking forward to discussing the rest of this book. Now, if you're curious, though, did Nicieza stand the whole series? No. Fabian Nicieza is not staying the writer for the whole series. If you're curious, when did he lead the book? He was placed by Evan Senek. Let me take a look here about that. Okay, he did the first 53 issues. That's basically when he left. With issue 53. That's when he finally leaves the book. So he does the book for a pretty good period of time. Mm-hmm. Yes. So yeah, 53, last issue he does. And then for the remainder of the book, it's Evan Sonic. Yeah, and that's when basically the book became, well, how should I put this? It became sort of a book associated with Spider-Man for reasons. But we're not done here just yet. But I'm going to give the Omnibus here a 10 out of 10. It was really, really good. Next up, we're talking about their counterpart from DC Comics, The Outsiders. Which, now, we have Mike Derry Barton, and we're only discussing the first 14 issues and the only end of the book of this 28 issue volume. Now, I'm not discussing on 20 issues, it'll take a little bit too much time. But here are members: Geoforce, Metamorpho, Black Lightning, Looker, Halo, and Katana. Now, Jim Aparo draws all the issues of these 14 except for 2. Yes, Jim Aparo actually skips issues. He skips 2. And if you're really curious, Jim Aparo, of these first 14 issues, he skips only 1 issue. And that's issue number 8. Mm-hmm. Yep, issue 8. Now, basically, in the first arc, Nuclear Fear, we have a brand new base operations for the Outsiders. Basically, an ore refinery. Yep. And, of course, basically, they do reference Adventures of the Outsiders number 38 because this is set right after that. That's where this book is set. And, basically, Looker comes back, and Looker is here. Her plot is that she's a suit model. She uses her powers to get her own way, and she gets hired by the suit agency. And she basically, at one point, she's in issue 14. She actually briefly is arrested for murder, and thanks to investigating by the Outsiders, she is cleared. Yep. And of course, Halo has a backup story in issue 1. Yeah, this book also has backup features. Now, you're probably thinking, do the same creating the backup story? Yes, they do. Yep. Now, issue 2 is noteworthy for a return of a group they fought back in their first annual. Yep, and issue 2, of course, they deal with Nuclear Family. Yep. And their story arc here is basically the first, I think it's the first, 2 issues of the book. Yeah, it's a quick 2-parter. Yep. And then we have the Untouchable story arc, which focuses on Looker. Yeah, it's basically her taking face a group known as the Untouchables. Yes, a group of people who first appeared in DC Comics in 58. And they appear for 2 issues, 2 and 3. At the end of issue 2, we see a fist break out of mountain. And it turns out it's the return of the Force of July. A group of people who the Outsiders last fought in Batman the Outsiders and number 1. And Major Victory decided to do a racist insult to Tatsu, aka Katana, by saying, "This is for Pearl Harbor." And she's like, "That was another generation. I had nothing to do with that." Yes, the 4th of July are a government organization. They don't like the Outsiders. And, they even poke fun of their names. One is, basically Lady Liberty. Yeah, this is the same group. Lady Liberty, Major Victory, Mayflower, Silent Major, and Speaker. And we see the debut of a character named the Bad Samaritan. And he's here for issues 3 and 4, returns for 10 and 12, and that's it for him in this book. But, excuse me, this actually appears just after his appearance pages of Adventures of the Outsiders. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. The 4th of July, basically, they're here for just a couple issues. Mm-hmm. Yeah, after appearing in that Batman the Outsiders annual. It's like a trap, and they get freed in this book. Now, here's the thing. Their debut was in Batman the Outsiders and number 1. That was the debut appearance. And that was released back in September. Cover date of September 1984. When they returned in issue 2 of this very book, it was like just a couple years later. Yep. And their fight with them wraps up in issue 4. Yep, that's when they're defeated. There's a goal: stand back a feature focus on Metamorpho. Yep, it's a Metamorpho story. Yeah, the book likes giving backup features to spotlight the members of the group. In the case of issue number 5, it's a Christmas issue. It's this cover site probably released in December. So it just basically just fighting a gangster in this issue. And then we have a sort of Black Lightning Katana. Yeah, it's a standalone issue, issue 5. In issue 6, it's them versus their own headquarters when they face up against a robot named the Duke of Oil. And he is here for 2 issues, and then he's beaten, like, introduced in issue 6, and he's defeated them in our next issue. Yeah, and then we have this thing like, oh, Outsiders at Bat. It's just basically a baseball story. And, of course, Duke of Oil is defeated in issue 7, after he was just introduced in the previous issue. If you're curious, what is basically his next appearance after this? Well, in the case of this book, he does not appear in this book ever again. His next actual appearance will be in Green Arrow, number 47. Wait, no, I think it's, let's see. This book? Let's see, I'm just trying to take a look here. I'm thinking it's probably Formula Just Like number 3. Then he appears for a few issues of Green Arrow. His last appearance was in, basically in the final issue of Just Like America. Then issue number 8 is basically about the ladies of the group. Fights of the Yakuza. Also, this is the issue where Mike W. Bird takes the issue off. Now, issues 9 through, let's say, 12 is a multi-part story arc. We're introduced this man named Edward Buntamita. Well, he's introduced actually issue 3. It's like, oh, he's going to be like a charming boyfriend to Black Lightning's ex-wife. And it turns out, nope, the guy is a dick. He's a dictator. And basically, he does something really stupid. He kidnaps Lynn, takes him his own country, takes her own country against his will. It's like he really wants her. She says no. She slaps him, and she gets in prison for it. So Black Lightning has a team infiltrate the country to rescue her. And they all get captured except for Black Lightning. And thanks to running into somebody he does know from the country, someone who is a triathlon athlete because he's an Olympian, who lost his legs because he attempted to learn to people about the fact that their president is a jerk. I'm sure this guy is based upon the former self-proclaimed president for life of the Philippines. I'm sure that's what this character is based on. I have no claim to that because I've never met Mike Derber. I'm sure maybe he got an idea basically for it, but this guy is a complete jerk. At one point, he has everybody in prison. He throws basically Geoforce, Katana, and Halo into a prison camp. Not a concentration camp, a prison camp. Looker is kind of proclaimed to be his girlfriend because he can basically manipulate him. And Metamorpho is in prison in ice, though he gets freed. And by the end of the story arc, he is actually deposed and he's hanged. Yep, they kill him off in issue 12. Yep, and then it's like, okay, they're about to leave, and then their plane gets shot down by the military. Yep. Oh, they also fight these group of Soviets known as the People's Heroes. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much after these 3 issues, they pop up again for issue 23. And then they also pop up on the page of Suicide Squad. Yeah, they're a bunch of communists. Yes. So you have communists associated with basically a dictator who's black and white blonde over. Just basically a story for Halo and Looker. Just a really good story there. Yeah, 13 is the story where, like, ooh, they're trapped on a tropical island for a whole issue. But this issue's also got 3 stories with it. Yep, we have that. We have a story with Geoforce. And then we have the last one be 10 minutes. And then we go to issue 14, which I mentioned before about the Looker being arrested. Then there is the annual. Yes, there was one annual published. And I figured, though, it came at the same period of time in these issues, so why not? The cover art annual is by Kevin Newland, which is a really good cover art here. It is mostly put Batman team with the Outsiders to take on a cell of Cobra. Yep, that's literally what this annual is. It's really cool. I think it's really good storytelling by part of Mike W. Burr. And if you're curious, is this the sole time they fight the Outsiders? The Outsiders also fight in issue 6 and 7 also. But they return for a couple more appearances after this in this book, and that'll be it for them time in the book. But actually, a Skull, but Cobra, this was the only time they fight him. But yeah, Kevin Newland also is the interior artwork as well. Yeah, this annual is not done by Jim Aparo. Oh no, he does not do the annual at all. Don't know why. But I would have thought though they would bribe him in the annual, but nope, they didn't. And my guess is the reason why Batman's here is to tease his return to this book, which I'll discuss the next time. But I'm going to give the first 14 issues of The Outsiders, Volume 1, a 10 out of 10. Really good issues. The annual also give 10 out of 10 as well. Okay? So yeah. And that's definitely a particular video. So, please sure to like, comment, subscribe. I have a day off tomorrow, so I might have some comic corners coming tomorrow, okay? See you.